Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
WMAL. 6:07, and things are flying by right now before our very eyes as this news cycle just keeps chugging downhill at lightning speed. But we're hanging on for dear life. And we'll continue to observe, analyze, and hopefully entertain while we're doing it so you can get where you're going this morning. Coming up in 30 minutes, Cal Thomas will be our guest. 7:05, Dr. Kevin Roberts of Heritage. 7:35, Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. 8:05, Dr. Mehmet Oz on the growing concern over fraud in Obamacare and Medicaid and Medicare, including the billions of dollars defrauded from the state of Minnesota. Then 8:35, a Christian actor, singer, kind of a stud, Charles Billingsley. He's starring in the Kennedy Center Christmas Spectacular. And it's about Jesus, Julie Gunlock, which is weird for a Christmas show at a government-run performing arts center. But we welcome
formerly
that
godless Kennedy Center.
Yes, God bless Rick Grinnell for his work. All right, speaking of godless, Julie, I saw that you were tracking this story quite a bit yesterday, and let me just give the quick intro, and then you can sort of explore deeper into what the details are. But it appears in Canada, as we know, Canada has horrific problems with their national health care service, and in many cases, you have to wait. You get doctors saying, "Oh, you've got problems with frequent migraines and headaches. It could be a brain tumor. Let's get an MRI. It'll be a year and a half." That kind of thing.
A year and a half. It'll be 8 years. I mean, it's unbelievable.
If you're lucky. There's a real problem there in terms of wait times and being able to get the health service. It's free, though. Don't get me wrong. It's free. That's fabulous. Couple that problem that they have with what began as, and it always begins this way, an assisted suicide regime that was always supposed to be about putting people out of their misery and suffering and pain who are already, terminally ill. And it has very, very quickly, and I mean in like 3 years, morphed into a robust eugenics kind of program where people children who are suffering from depression are encouraged to kill themselves. That's what's going on in Canada. Those two major forces collide in this story, Julie, and take it from there.
Yeah, this is a horrible story. For the past 8 years, a Saskatchewan woman, her name is Jolene Van Alstein, she's suffered from a rare thyroid disease. It causes her extreme bone pain, nausea, and vomiting. She says that for the past 8 years, she's rarely left her couch. She literally cannot live her life. She is in so much pain. She has begged for help. To remove this. She has a thyroid gland. She had one removed, a couple removed. She needs to have this remaining thyroid gland removed in order to improve her condition. Here's the thing. There is no surgeon in Saskatchewan, again, this is a very rural part of Canada, that can perform the operation. Okay, that's fine. She needs to be referred out of the province. Simple, right? She just needs to obtain that referral by an endocrinologist. Not a problem, right?
Okay.
There are no endocrinologists in her province accepting new patients. Okay. So again, in order to get the referral to leave the province to find a surgeon, she needs a referral from an endocrinologist, and there are no endocrinologists in her province, which again, she cannot leave her province without the referral, and there are no This has resulted in her sitting on her couch for 8 years in excruciating pain because she cannot find a surgeon. Okay. Now, the government has the solution. They say, we have a lot of sympathy for you. This seems really terrible. You qualify for the Medical Assistance in Dying program called MAID. This is what you referred to.
Yeah.
She applied, and she says she's going to do it. Now, in the meantime, she went to her legislature in Saskatchewan, and he sort of went to the media, and this has gone viral, and now she's gotten enough attention that she might actually get that surgery, possibly because of Glenn Beck, by the way.
An American
who's like, basically, is there a surgeon who will perform this? I will pay for everything. But this woman, think of what she has endured. They sent her a letter, the sort of, health services government agency. They sent her this letter. And I mean, it was like the Twilight Zone.
It's
it was
Orwellian.
Like,
yeah.
Totally. It was like, we appreciate your struggle. All you need to do are these steps. You need to work with your primary care physician in order to get this referral. And again, she's done it all. So it's like this vicious loop, this vicious circle that she's on. And again, they offered her assisted suicide because of the failed system. That is so terrifying. And this is a perfect example of when you get government involved in the healthcare system, you're going to become a problem. You're going to become an inconvenience, and they're going to knock you off.
The Canadian program is held up by people like Bernie Sanders and AOC and Zohra Mamdani and, what's become the mainstream of the Democrat Party as the model that we should be aiming for.
That's right.
Canada figured it out. Canada does it well. Canada's got free health care. This is what it looks like. And so she got caught up in the poorly designed to fail bureaucracy of healthcare. Listen, Canadian healthcare is great if you're healthy, but as soon as you get sick,
or rich,
it's not so good. Or if you're rich, So she's got this chronic disease that can be treated. That everyone needs to understand this. If she were living in another part of Canada, and certainly if she were, south of the border and living in Montana or in Minnesota, she'd be taken care of by our system, as broken as our system is.
I will say one other thing. This has gone on for a long time in Canada. They know about this. The people of Canada know about this. And yet they vote in the same monsters who prop up this system and tell Canadians that this is what they're proud of it. I actually was on a trip once about 10 years ago with a bunch of Canadians, and I was arguing with them, and it was a point of pride, their healthcare system.
Oh, yeah.
And as much as I tried to point out the wait times and a lot of wealthy Canadians coming down to the United States to get treatment, didn't matter. They were so proud of it. So one thing I think is really deeply disturbing is that Canadians know this happens to people. They know that they're offered assisted suicide. They know some people have nowhere to go but to do the to accept the assisted suicide. And they continue to vote these people in. They don't vote for reforms.
Well, and we're on the path of that very problem here in America, because there are recent polls that the questioning in the poll, the language of the poll is very important, because it doesn't say what is your opinion of Obamacare? Because if you ask people their opinion of Obamacare, overwhelmingly people don't like it. But the question was, what is your opinion of the Affordable Care Act signed into law in 2010 to improve the healthcare system in America by Barack Obama? People say, oh, yeah, we love it. 58% say that it's a good program. And you've reached a point where Republicans are terrified to make changes to the current Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare legislation that is dying, that is set up to fail, that is leading us directly to the story that we just told you in Canada. They're terrified to change it. But the problem is, if it's not changed and if it's not fixed, we will be Canada. This is exactly what we will have. And I just want to be clear. This woman could be treated, but the system did not treat her, so she is suffering. And eventually, when she took her complaints to the government health system, their response was, oh, you're right. This is terrible. You should kill yourself. Yep. We'll help you with that. We got plenty of doctors to help you with
cheap.
that.
That's cheap.
That would really be better for everyone involved. Say a prayer for this woman, and say a prayer for Canada while you're at it. We've got a lot on health care. We're going to talk to Dr. Roberts about it, actually, from Heritage at 7:05. And Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin, and then Dr. Mehmet Oz at 8:05. Right now it's 6:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Brought to you by the National Air Traffic Controllers Association. We guide you home. NATCA.org.
So you know that the Pentagon has gone through quite a few changes under Secretary of War Pete Hegseth at the direction of the President of the United States. And one of the major changes that was executed within the first several months of the new administration was to modify a lot of the DEI policies that appeared to focus more on social engineering and woke, politically correct policies versus the main focus of the Pentagon, which is to kill our enemies, engage in conflict, and make sure that we emerge victorious. One of those policies had to do with transgender individuals in the military. And you'll hear people talking about how, like, this goes back to the Tuskegee Airmen or something, that this is a policy that is, how dare you reverse this? Didn't Bill Clinton already put an end to this with, don't say, or no, not don't say, don't ask, don't tell, or
yeah.
whatever the hell it wasn't. No, this was actually incredibly new. In fact, I believe it was the Biden administration that finally sort of put the green light on all of the trends.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Democrats like to act like, it was General Grant that
right,
put
exactly.
this in place. It's like, no, it was like 10 minutes ago.
And by the way, it was exactly what President Trump ran on in 2024. It was part of his regular stump speech that they were going to change and get the Pentagon back to the focus on war, and that the cost involved with taxpayers paying for transitions in the military, as well as the liability involved with individuals who are in a wartime setting having to deal with all of the medical and pharmaceutical demands on somebody going through transition, not to mention unit cohesion. When you've got somebody who is a man identifying as a woman, sleeping with women in women's barracks or in women's facilities, and just it's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
Yes.
So they put an end to it. And they offered people who were already in the military and identifying as transgender, they offered them discharges, ending. It's like, listen, it's nothing personal, but it just doesn't work with the military now. Well, of course, there have been lawsuits after lawsuits after lawsuits. Yep. Yesterday, a federal appeals court sided with the Pentagon, with Secretary of War Hegseth and the Trump administration, and they upheld the exclusion of transgenders from military service. So this might go to the Supreme Court. It is certainly possible. But as of now, based on this district court ruling, a 2-1 ruling, by the way, and this is the D.C. Circuit that made that decision, which generally leans to the left.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing about part of the reason why the Biden administration was so hell-bent on getting this policy embedded in the military is because it's all an effort, and this is why they do it with kids too, it's all an effort to normalize this, right? To make it just another thing and to connect it to sort of the civil rights movement and the integration of black soldiers into the military, and, connect these sort of dots, which are in no way connected. But again, I think that, you can then hold up a transgender soldier and say, look, this guy is commanding, untold number of troops, and, we trust him, and he's a responsible member of the military. And again, it has this normalizing effect on the culture. So, this is a setback for That's right. There's many setbacks with the transgender movement, but this one I think is particularly painful for them because, again, it goes against that sort of idea that, every aspect of Americans, of American culture has transgender people in it.
That's a big part of it, and it also robs them of poster children. They love propping up people in uniform and daring someone to raise an objection and suggest that they're not fit for service because of this issue, because then you're maligning the uniform, all of this. They love using that uniform as a shield. But Hegseth and the attorneys representing the Pentagon, they took a couple of different standards here to the table, and they had evidence. They had stacks of evidence from medical professionals that said, based on very specifically mental and physical fitness, these individuals were deemed unfit to serve. And this is not a new determination. Historically, that has been the determination. It's the, Corporal Klinger.
Yep.
And this court, and by the way, there's one other aspect of this that I think needs to be explored. The D.C. Circuit, which again is rather liberal, that overturned this temporary injunction on the ban, the injunction was implemented by a judge. The judge's name is Reyes. Judge Reyes has been on the court since 2023. Judge Reyes was put there by Joe Biden. She is a Uruguay-born individual who is the first openly LGBTQ judge to serve on the D.C. federal court. And she is the one that put the temporary restraining order on this injunction. And I think that it's worth investigating whether her own personal bias on this issue was in some way a mitigating factor in her decision. Because judges are supposed to recuse themselves if they have a direct personal connection to the issue that they are adjudicating. And I'm sorry, on the face of it, since this woman was celebrated and propped up as some sort of groundbreaking individual because she's the first Hispanic openly LGBTQ judge in the D.C. circuit, and she happened to be the one that overturned the transgender ban, and now it has been overturned by her colleagues, maybe, just maybe, she should be investigated and called up on potentially a conflict of interest. Just saying. I'm just saying. It's 6:24.
Coming up, it's cow time. Keep it here. It's 6:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:37. Thank you so much for letting us be a part of your morning routine. I know things are busy right now, this 2 weeks before Christmas time. I get it, but we're going to try to keep you informed and entertained as you go about your very busy lives. Coming up at 7:05, we'll talk to Kevin Roberts of the Heritage Foundation. 7:35, Ron Johnson, Senator of Wisconsin. 8:05, Mehmet Oz, he's the administrator for Medicare and Medicaid. Ask him about that fraud up in Minnesota. And at 8:35, Charles Billingsley, he's an actor in the Kennedy Center's Christmas spectacular called Noel, Jesus is Born. That's right, a Kennedy Center Christmas program with the word Jesus in the title. Julie Gunlock.
I'm shook.
As I live and breathe. Cal Thomas, what do you make of that? Boy, what a change of the wind direction here in the District of Columbia. Cal?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. I was listening to an ad. I don't know how that
oh, that's
works
weird.
there,
No.
but,
Well, before I brought you on, I was mentioning that we've got an actor from the Christmas Spectacular at the Kennedy Center, and the name of the spectacular is Noel, Jesus is Born. Jesus in the title of the Christmas Spectacular at the Kennedy Center.
well, you hear his name mentioned a lot, but it's usually not in a favorable way, unfortunately.
Yeah, they invent a new middle name for him too, which is really unfortunate.
Well, you know, when I hear his name used as a curse word, I usually respond by saying Buddha.
Just keep
amazing,
it,
you know.
Yeah, just keep Muhammad
Buddha.
Out of it. Trust me, that doesn't end well.
Exactly.
I never use his name as a curse word. I wonder what that is. Anyway, you get my Christmas card yet?
No, not yet. Did you do one of those things where you do the picture and then the update on everything that's happened this year?
No, I'm going to do that for New Year's Day and going forward. But, you know, I did get some mail yesterday that was postmarked November 21st. And the Postal Service, of course, continues to be in dire straits. And if they can't deliver the mail in a timely fashion, you may be old enough or maybe not. I remember around Christmas time when I was a kid, you got 2 mail deliveries a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, loaded with Christmas cards. It was really fun. You couldn't wait to go to the mailbox. Now you got 15 different catalogs advertising everything from clothes to various sorts of cookies.
Yeah, no, you're right. My mail service is pretty much predominantly promotional materials and stuff, except for these weeks. So we're talking quite a bit about, we just talked about the Canadian healthcare system, and I don't know if you saw the story about this woman who they recommended she kill herself because they couldn't provide the care to her. We're going to speak with Ron Johnson of Wisconsin and Mehmet Oz because as the big talk around town is continuing to throw money and subsidies at Obamacare to prop it up, even though it's a failed system, one thing that needs to be remedied here before any new money goes to it, I would think, Cal, is to get rid of the fraud. We've been seeing these stories about how much fraud there is in this system.
You're right, of course. I mean, and everything that is spent in new money is borrowed money, adds to the debt, adds to the interest payments. John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, says now Republicans have come together on a plan to fix Obamacare. It's going to be sending the money not to insurance companies, but to healthcare savings accounts, which is not a bad idea. But I'm just looking at a story this morning, and I'm going to do a commentary later on this on WMAL for tonight's drive time. It's in the Washington Times today about AI, artificial intelligence. According to a lot of young people in a new poll, can solve a lot of the problems, including lowering the costs of health care if Congress would embrace these things. But, of course, they don't want to lose the issue. They don't want to solve the problem, because if they lose the issue, they can't bash the other party. I mean, it's really disgusting. Everybody knows solutions to problems in Washington. They just don't want to do them. And this is why people are so frustrated with government.
Yeah, they are. And Trump is going to try to get ahead of that. The White House is saying that he'll hit the road. He's going to try to sell some of these policies ahead of the midterms and sort of turn the narrative to a more positive narrative. The White House is saying the economy is about to turn around. Things are about to become more affordable. What are your thoughts on this sort of road trip he's about to do?
Well, on my, the Washington Post called the first trip yesterday in Pennsylvania more of a best of thing. I've got a column coming tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. You tend to forget these things, or maybe it was yesterday. going back to 1980 and the misery index, which was created by Jimmy Carter, from double-digit mortgage rates, double-digit inflation, and it was just terrible. People couldn't afford anything. Yeah. It took Reagan almost 3 years to turn it around, and he lost 26 seats in the midterm elections in 1982. But by 1984, you may remember the commercial, "It's Morning in America," and Reagan won a massive landslide. It takes time to turn this stuff around. Biden, with his incredible non-immigration policy that let everybody in, prices up, gas prices up. Gas prices are coming down. They're down across the country. They're even down in California, even though it's still $4 a gallon there. But in the rest of the country, in some places, it's under $2 a gallon. So things are turning around, and I think Trump needs to stick with that. Stop with the cursing. Stop with the calling other people names. Stay focused. Stay on the teleprompter. Get a good speechwriter, which he has, and stick with the message. Make the speeches shorter and stop repeating things like the 2020 election and all of these other things. Stay focused on the economy. That's the major issue.
Well, that's what they tried to start with last night with the speech in Pennsylvania, and we'll see how that goes. And Affordable Care Act and Obamacare is going to be a big part of that as well. All right, Cal, always good to talk. Are you sticking up here in D.C. for the holidays, or are you heading back to warmer climes?
Yeah, I'm coming up for Christmas and, trying to see some people, but we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll even drop by and see you. I'll get up in the early morning. Are you guys actually in the studio, or are you phoning it in from another planet?
I'm sorry. I'm having trouble hearing you. No comment on that.
Okay.
We have to go. Moving on.
All right. Well,
it's Christmas.
Maybe we'll have coffee or something. Bye-bye.
All right, yeah, that sounds like a good plan. It is 6:43.
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 till 9 on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
We've got an update on the scandal out of Minnesota. Are other outlets talking about this story yet, Julie? I mean, other than to have Ilhan Omar come on and yell at Donald Trump for saying mean things about the Somali community?
I have not seen much commentary on this in the mainstream media.
Billions of dollars, at the very least, $1 billion, if not more. And everyone says, it was from the state healthcare system in Minnesota. Who funds the state healthcare system in Minnesota?
Yep.
Federal tax dollars fund the state healthcare system in Minnesota. It's our tax dollars. And Dr. Oz Mehmet, who is going to be our guest coming up at 8:05, he's the administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. He addressed this yesterday. I want you to hear a little bit of what he had to say. Here's cut 5.
It's true. A Somali fraud ring in Minnesota stole over $1 billion from Medicaid. How did this happen? Well, Medicaid programs are run by the states, which in Minnesota means the Tim Walz administration. Governor Walz and the state's other Democrats rely on Somali votes to get elected. So they decided to look the other way because they were afraid of, quote-unquote, political backlash. Don't take my word for it. That's what a Somali-American fraud investigator told the New York Times. When these scammers realized that nobody was guarding the cash register, they went gangbusters. One program designed to provide housing stabilization assistance to patients ballooned to $104 million, when 4 years ago it was projected to cost only $2.6 million. Some of these taxpayer funds may have even ended up in the hands of a Somalian terrorist group. Scary stuff. When CMS became aware of the housing program situation, Minnesota insisted it could clean up its own mess. A few months ago, it admitted it could not. So we stepped in to shut down the fraud-infested housing initiative. Today, we're taking action on more than a dozen other programs, which I've outlined in the post below. Our message to all is clear. Either fix this in 60 days or start looking under your couch for spare change, because we are done footing the bill for your incompetence.
All right. I like the plain speaking aspect of that, and he's a good communicator, of course. Dr. Oz is. He's been in front of a camera quite a bit. We're going to have, like I said, we're going to have him on. We're going to dive a little deeper into this story and this fraud and this scandal. I just want to be clear, though, just so that you recognize how disgusting this is. The taxpayer money was meant to fund programs for children with autism. And starving children, and the developmentally and behavioral intervention programs, disabled homeless individuals, housing stabilization services. This is a time where we have a nationwide homeless crisis in this country, and it's Tim Walz of the world, Kamala Harris of the world, Gavin Newsom of the world, J.B. Pritzker. They will be the ones who go to you and prey on your guilt, prey on your good nature. And any time any Republican like Elon Musk or Dr. Oz or Donald Trump or J.D. Vance or anybody says, we got to stop the fraud in these programs, they will scream that you are killing children.
That's right.
And do you hear anybody saying that these fraudsters killed children by stealing billions of dollars from the programs? No, it's only when a Republican wants to actually tighten these programs up, save some money, and convict the people who are defrauding the system. It's the Republicans who are killing children.
You're absolutely right. When we talk about able-bodied 25-year-old men sitting in their mother's basement playing video games, then maybe they should get a job and not be on food stamps. You want to cut food stamps. Yes. Any kind of reform. You're absolutely right. Any kind of reform that the Republicans propose, where the heartless Republicans.
Hold on, you just said something. I missed it. Just one other thing before that. It was, you are what now?
Okay.
What'd you say?
You're right. It's 6:52, Larry.
Yes, it is.
6:50. No, 6:53.